Welcome to Shepherd's Table. I'm your host, Ian Parkinson, and I have with me today Pastor Patrick Schoenberger from Heights Baptist. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you, Ian.
Talk to me about this federal Bill C-9 hate crime law, I believe.
Yeah, Bill C-9 is about preventing hate speech. And historically, when we're talking hate speech in Canada, there has been a religious exemption. So, for example, if someone is quoting scripture, maybe it's the Bible, maybe it's the Quran, maybe it's the Torah. If someone's quoting scripture or preaching on scripture, and it's a good faith interpretation, then they could not be charged with hate speech, with a hate crime, because there was this religious exemption. Now, what the Liberals and the Bloc have done at the Justice Committee is voted to remove the religious exemption from Bill C-9. So that means that going forward, people quoting or preaching from the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, or other texts could possibly be charged with hate speech. Now, it's always interesting the way the Liberals apply the law. Of course, there's currently hate speech laws on the books.
Right.
But Mark Miller, who's now once again a federal cabinet minister, has said at committee, he's specifically singled out sections of Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Romans that should be deemed as hate speech. And it's very problematic. Of course, we don't see the Liberal government talking about certain sections of the Quran. We see them highlighting sections of the Bible that they believe should be banned as hate speech. And so again, if there's a complaint because someone has quoted from the Bible or preached from the Bible, it's deemed to be hate speech. They're talking about a 2-year imprisonment. And that seems to be so often the solution for the Liberals. If somebody disagrees with us, let's put them in jail. And this is simply not a way forward for Canada as a democracy, a nation that supposedly, what does the Charter of Rights and Freedoms say? Canada is a nation founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law.
Yeah.
And we're going to start banning the Bible. I'm afraid we've lost our way.
So this exemption was only for Christians?
No, it was for any religious group, anyone promoting, and I think so often the justification, and we of course the Bloc Québécois has been supporting this, and we see situations in Quebec where large groups of Muslims have been blocking streets and
Right.
having prayer time and doing all this stuff, and we've seen a rapid increase in anti-Semitism in the last couple of years, particularly since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, 2023. And we've seen, Jewish synagogues attacked in community centers and schools and kosher restaurants and supermarkets and all these sorts of things. And so we have seen an increase in hate speech and hate crimes, but primarily, again, as I'm looking at it, it's attacks often by Muslims against Jews.
Right.
And but yet the Liberal government seems to want to single out the Christians and the Bible when it comes to hate speech legislation. But again, that's simply, they talk so much about multiculturalism and diversity and tolerance, but how is banning the Bible or any holy book consistent with that?
Well, I wonder if maybe they're trying to deflect attention from something else, maybe more subversive by playing this, doing away with this religious exemption.
Well, I'd actually maybe disagree. I don't think they're using Bill C-9 as a distraction. I think other things are a distraction from Bill C-9. Because what the Liberals do, and you'll notice, so watch the mainstream media. And not that I spend a lot of time watching it, but I have not seen any discussion of Bill C-9 in the mainstream media, because what they're doing is they're focusing on Trump and trade. And that's all they talk about. And while they're distracting us talking about Donald Trump, the Liberals are slipping through a lot of bad legislation. And they started doing this during COVID. We're going to distract people with COVID, and we're going to start slipping through all of this bad legislation. And the Liberals are talking about bringing back what was Bill C-63, the Online Harms Act. Yeah. And again, this is more about banning speech online, and on it goes. So I don't think Bill C-9 is a distraction. I think they're using other things to distract us so that people are not seeing what's happening with legislation like Bill C-9.
What a good idea. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching.